Everybody. So we're out in the small shop today. Look at these tongs that I made here. That's just my tongs that I was using with some angle iron that I just reshaped and welded to them. These have become very useful. Now, I know that we're going to have the forge going in the background, so I'm going to be competing with a little bit of noise, but this is the fourth billet. So this is the reason why the video was not released yesterday, because the billet that I was working on Saturday night and the beginning of Sunday ended up being a failure. It was a learning experience type failure, but it was a failure. We got another billet going on in here. It's the fourth try at this. The reason why I'm making today's video is so that we can talk about this. So I'm gonna be popping y'all in and out as we kind of do this, and I'm gonna move y'all up here. So almost 95% of what people show on YouTube is their successes. Every once in a while you'll see a video pop up that has them talking about their knife that they have going on and what wasn't so awesome about it that they ended up pushing past and having a successful knife. The reason why we don't show a ton of the failure videos is because a lot goes into editing these videos, and there's a lot of time and effort put into those. So we typically want to do a video where we can show y'all a completed knife or a process that worked, so that you get your learning from that. And there aren't a ton of high viewed viral failure knife videos out there. So when it comes to monetization and getting a little bit of income off of your videos, having a unsuccessful knife video out there, it's a lot of effort to put into something that is really not going to get much traffic. And we'll see how this video does, but really what I want to talk about today is not everything's going to work out. I mentioned this in a previous Shop Talk Tuesday, but not everything's going to work out. That billet that we had been working on in the previous video for the Friday's release, that didn't work out. It was, it looked like a pretty decently solid billet, but whenever it boiled down to it and I went to go and quench it, any of those little hairline little gaps, those expand whenever you quench a knife that has D-lams going through it, because the metal kind of warps around it, and those little cracks that you couldn't barely see are now that times 10. So you can't come back from that on a billet, because you get a ton of forge scale in between those gaps and cracks, and it's not going to work. So you'll see a lot of videos out there where people turn everything into Damascus. You know, they've got bicycle chains, they've got springs that don't even make sense that they would be able to forge weld them together. With the amount of research that I've done in the past couple of weeks, 4 weeks, I've seen so many videos of people forging the craziest crap together. Now, of course, a lot of those people have presses. I don't have a press. I don't have a power hammer. I'm doing this by hand, and when you're doing it by hand, it's not as forgiving because you can't just go bam, 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 and now it's forge welded. You've got to have a plan going into it on how you're going to hammer, how you're going to get that stuff to weld and do things like that. So there's a little bit of extra process. Now, we're going to be kind of popping back and forth, and I'm going to be, you know, hammering on this while we're doing this video. But yeah, I just wanted to be able to talk to y'all while I'm getting this billet set up. So let's go ahead and pull y'all back in a little bit. Now, a lot of this work is, like I said, all about timing and making sure that you're, you know, I'd say be patient, because if you don't and you take this billet out of here and it's not heated up, let's see if I can get it out here. You're going to go through and you're going to hammer on it, and nothing is going to happen. Flux on here. Tell you one thing, there is a good chance that after I get done doing these couple of billets that I'm working on, that I'm gonna have to rebuild this forge. Probably not the whole entire forge, but man, the amount of flux that I've used on the inside of this during this process has just been a little unreal. Now, let's put you back out here for a second. So, the reason why I talk about failures when it comes to knife making and things like that is because you've got a lot of people that want to get into this. You don't really call it a profession, maybe a hobby. It's definitely not a profession if you're not making any money off of it. And you got a lot of people that get into this and they think, okay, I need all these tools in order to do this. So they might be, let's sneeze real quick, So they might get into it thinking, yeah, I'm gonna do this, we're gonna make it happen. I'm gonna, you know, make some knives, make some money, sneeze it. I swear you can't ever just sneeze once. It's always gotta be more than one. So they'll get into it and they go and they buy all the tools. You know, they hopefully are smart enough to not go buy a 2x72 and a whole bunch of different things, but you'll have some people that they want that instant gratification, so they'll go out, they'll buy a forge, anvil, 2x72, all these different tools, invest $2,500, $3,000 in it, and then their first 5 knives are not something that you'd want to sell, and there's no return on investment whenever you first start on this. It's all investment and then experience, skill, honing your ability, and then maybe sell some knives. So you do it all at the beginning. You're not gonna have super successful knives You know, you might have knife-shaped objects because, you know, you still have to learn how to heat treat. You got to learn how your forge works. Primarily because a lot of the guys that get into making knives, they go, okay, well, I'm gonna completely replicate what that person just did. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna have my forge just like him. I'm gonna have my anvil set up just like him. I'm gonna get the grinder just like him, get all those things, and then I'm gonna be able to make that knife. Well, a lot of things change depending on your elevation, atmosphere, stuff like that, because the forge might not work the same way my forge works. You might need a forge with a smaller internal chamber or a larger internal chamber, or you might need 2 burners, just 1 burner. You might have to run your propane at a different PSI than me. You might have to do a lot of different things than what I do. Plus, I've got a different skill set coming into this because I've done tons of woodwork and tons of, you know, metal fabrication and all of those things. So my skill set going into it and how I can control my hands and my body and stuff like that, not everybody's gonna have that. Not saying that I am some master with my hands, but I have a certain skill set going into this hobby that you might not have if you've never done those things. So my thing is, you have so many people that want to go and immediately invest all their money into this, and then they realize, well, man, I'm either not good at this or I'm not willing to put in all of the extra work to get good at it. So then they go and they sell all this stuff at a loss, and all they did was they spent a bunch of money and they didn't get anything back out of it because they weren't willing to put the time and get the experience out of it. Because if you're not going to get money out of it, but you get experience out of it, you're at least getting paid in some way, and that is through your experience. Now, I want people to understand, start small, work your way up. I'm going to be working with the same materials over and over and over and over again until I get this down. It's going to cost me money. Every single time that I have a filled knife, 3 of them so far, that's all metal that I had to purchase, that the only thing that I got out of it was experience. And that's worth its weight in gold for me. I mean, that's what the whole channel is based on, the Rivers experience. It's all based on my experience, and then hopefully being able to impart some sort of knowledge on y'all as I'm going through this process. Like, one of the things that I've been working on, I've been watching a ton of people's YouTube videos, Fire Creek Forge, Aaron over at Aleeknives, Dennis Tyrell from Tyrell, his, you know, knife channel and all that. If y'all want to go check out the channels, I'm gonna have the links for those in the description below. But it's just, I've been going through and watching so many of their videos and then seeing what works with my setup and what does not work. Because not everything that they have is going to mean I'm going to be successful copying what they're doing. So you've got to take some of that knowledge and then just kind of figure out how it's going to work within your setup. But let's go ahead and hammer on this a little bit more. Get y'all over here, and there you go. I'm about to go get my gloves here in a second. They're not like super, you know, insulated gloves, but they do keep some of this heat off of them. So because this billet is so big, what I'm doing is I'm just hammering on one side at a time, because what's going to end up happening is while I'm hammering on one side, the other side is cooling down, and there's no need in me trying to get out of there. There's no need in me trying to hammer that side if it's going to be too cold to actually work within that forge weld. So So I'm gonna hammer one side, hammer the other, hammer one side, hammer the other. And one of the things that I'm working on, I'm gonna grab this piece of wood right here so I can show you what I'm doing. Bring you up just a little bit. So pretend this is that piece of steel. What I'm doing on my initial forge is I am hammering down the center and then working my way out to the edge like this with the actual rounding part of my rounding hammer instead of my flat part. And what that's doing is I'm forge welding that center and then working my way out, and I'm pushing it this way and this way so that we get a nice weld on that center. Because where I've been having issues is that center not being fully welded. I've been able to weld the hell out of the outside here, but not this center. And a lot of that was because I was so focused on hitting with this the whole entire time, and I was just hammering, hoping that it would end up welding. I mean, I was just getting after it thinking, okay, I'm just gonna hit this and it's just gonna turn into a knife. So that's one of the things that I had to change, was being able to process what I'm gonna be doing to get that end result. So that's one of the things that I changed in my process. Now, when I was talking about a lot of us only showing 90% or 95% of our successes and only 5% of our failures, again, because of the time that it takes to edit and do things like that, but we automatically think that y'all are going to learn from the knife completion, and we want to be able to pump out a video that y'all can actually take some sort of information from, this is what I started with, this is what I ended with. And a lot of people think, while I'm talking about this, I'm gonna bring y'all inside because I have got to get my gloves. A lot of people think that they need to go through and do that, because again, if they don't, it's they don't feel like they're really getting much from it. Because, I mean, that's one of the reasons why so many people don't do the multiple series videos. They want to do, you know, the wham bam whole entire video where it was start to finish, and what ends up happening is you miss a lot of things in the editing process, because we edit out a ton of stuff that we don't find interesting, and we don't think y'all are going to find it interesting. So there's a lot of things that you don't see. You know, the throwing a hammer across the room because you just burned yourself, or, you know, any of those random small things. And we think we got to edit out any of the crap that didn't work, because we want y'all to have that, you know, that super high level of excitement on, dang, they knocked that out. Dang, they did a great job on that. Dang, they did a great job on that. And we don't want to think that y'all are saying, wow, they sucked at that. Wow, that didn't work out at all. Wow, why did they even make that decision? There's a lot of that stuff that happens, and we've got to think through, do we go ahead and make this a thing, or do we not? It kind of messes with our head a little bit. It really does. Because we want to be able to put out something that makes y'all go, wow, that's amazing. Not, damn, that didn't work. So there's a lot of stuff like that that we think through whenever we're actually doing this. Now, I'm not going to make this video much longer than it is. I want y'all to have one big takeaway from this, and that is, you got to keep pushing forward. You got to make yourself go to the next step. Get your takeaways and your experiences, and let that be your monetary gain from what you're doing. Not everything has a dollar attached to it. Some things just have memory and experience attached to it. So hopefully y'all have a good takeaway from this, and, you know, hopefully y'all have an amazing day. But if y'all would, give this video a thumbs up, share this video or one of my other videos, and I promise you, by this next Friday that you will have a daggum knife if it's the last thing I do. So let's go ahead and, if y'all would, subscribe, bottom corner, turn on the notification bell so you get notified when we actually turn this into a knife. Guys, we'll have our Shop Talk Tuesday tomorrow. Thank y'all for coming by. Thank y'all for spending your time with me. Y'all have an amazing day. If you liked this format, let me know in the comment section below. Most of y'all probably already chimed out, but if you have, you know, let me know. Guys, stay safe. I'll catch y'all next time.